Renting versus owning. What's the difference between renting and owning a home? The correct answer to this question depends on how long you're planning to live in the home and the cost of living in your area. While renting might be a better option for some people, owning a home has its advantages and disadvantages. Advantages. Let's go over the advantages of renting instead of buying. The cost to rent can be much lower depending on the area. Maintenance costs can be considerably lower than owning a home, and most of the time landlords will take care of repairs. You can move quickly and easily somewhere else. Sometimes a low deposit is all you need to move in. You can rent under your own name or under a company name. You don't have to pay property taxes. Renter's insurance is very inexpensive if your landlord requires you to have renter's insurance. Disadvantages. Now that we've gone over the advantages of renting, let's go over the disadvantages of renting. You won't benefit from the appreciation and value of the home. You can't write off mortgage interest. You'll never finish paying off your rent. It'll become a lifelong expense. Renting a home will mean you might have to move many times. If the rent increases every year, it can quickly become much more expensive over time. Most landlords increase rent by 3% every year, which will increase your living expenses. In some cases, the landlord won't renew your lease only to rent it for a higher amount to someone else. If you're considering to buy a home, these would be the main advantages. You will increase your net worth through the appreciation the home gains. You will never have a landlord ask you to leave at any moment. You can stay in your home as long as you want, as long as you pay your bills on time. You can deduct certain expenses like mortgage interest from your personal taxes. Eventually, you'll pay off your home and won't have any other expenses besides your property taxes, homeowner's insurance, and any additional expenses you decide to add on. You can rent rooms or areas in your home if you need the extra income. Even though owning a home has many advantages, here are some of the disadvantages you can have as a homeowner. If you live in a community that has a homeowners association, you might have some restrictions that will make your life harder, such as parking spaces and types of vehicles that can park there. Not being allowed to have certain types of fences, not allowed to do mechanic work on your vehicle, etc. The total cost of owning a home might be higher than renting, which will leave less for you to save at the end of the month. It can take longer to sell your home if you decide to move somewhere else. The initial cost of buying a home can leave your savings depleted. If we consider both options and compare particular situations, we can determine at what point it's better to rent or buy. We will use a rent versus own calculator to determine which option is better to get an idea of what the real numbers would look like, and which option is best if we compare renting for $2,000 versus buying a home for $300,000. If you decide to stay in the house for at least 3 years, buying is a better option than renting. Before 3 years, it's better to rent. At year 3, your total monthly rental cost would be $2,122, and at the end of those 3 years, the total cost would be $74,182. If you were buying after year 3, your mortgage payment is $1,914, of which at the end of year 3, your total cost would be $70,253. So there's a cost difference at year 3 of $3,929. So at year 3, it becomes a much better option in this case to buy instead of renting. If you've given a 5% down payment and the purchase price has been $300,000 and the monthly rent in the area of Orlando, Florida is $2,000. If we change some numbers and have a rental amount of $1,500 and a purchase price of $400,000, the situation is drastically different. It becomes much more beneficial financially to rent in the short term when the cost is so much lower than the cost to own a home in the long term. If you stay in this house for 13 years, buying is better than renting. So after year 13, buying is a better option. The cost difference at year 13 between buying and renting becomes $7,397, benefiting you when buying at year 13 when owning for at least 13 years versus renting. Anything under 13 years, renting becomes a better option. In the end, finding a way to own your home is always a better financial decision, which will allow you to eliminate a payment after 30 years approximately, versus having to pay rent even after 30 years. Besides that, you need to consider the added benefit of home appreciation which it would have over that time span. Everyone's situation is different, so you simply have to see at what point you're financially prepared and when it would be a good time to make the move. If you already own a home and decide to lower your expenses by downgrading to a smaller home or moving to another city where home prices are less expensive, and you can buy a larger home, that's another possibility. There is no right or wrong answer, but always remember that keeping your expenses low and increasing your net worth through the ownership of assets will lead to wealth and prosperity when it comes to your finances.